Hi players, bonjour from Paris, my name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today I'm going to show you how to play Battle for Rokugan that was published by Fantasy Flight Games and designed by Tom Jolly and Molly Glover. As always, if you learned something new or saw something that you like, please consider subscribing to the channel or becoming a member or just liking and commenting on the video. Let me know which other content you would like to see on this channel. Ready to see how it goes? Let's go to setup. Alright guys, so after we have placed the board at the center of the table, we're going to randomize the territory cards and place them in their corresponding locations. So just for the example, we have over here the place for the Northern Shadowlands, and when we're looking at these cards right over here, we can see that the symbol corresponding. So we have two cards for each location, and we're going to shuffle them or just choose one randomly, and we're going to place it face down underneath the location itself. The other one we can put back in the box without looking at it. Let's do that to all the other locations. So this is basically how the cards will look after we have finished doing this part of the setup. Now let's move on a little bit to the setup of the players themselves. So the first thing that we need to do is to choose our clan. You can either do it randomly or if you actually agree between yourselves which clan each player is going to play. Right over here I have chosen randomly 3 clans, so this is going to be a setup for 3 players. One of them is going to be the Scorpion clan, another one is going to be the Unicorn, and right over here we have the Crane. So the things that we need to take are first of all the screens. I have placed it right over here so you understand how it's supposed to be. This is what the other players should see. And over here, just for you to understand what are you going to see on your side. So now what we need to do is to separate the different tokens. We have the combat tokens and the control tokens. In the combat tokens, we need to find the Bluff token, which is this one that in most of the clans is going to be empty. One clan has something different, but it's not so important right now. We're going to take this Bluff token and put it behind our screen. So now I think we can turn this screen to the other side as well. And the rest of the combat tokens we need to flip face down. So the only thing that the other clans and also us are going to see, it's this symbol right over here of your clan. In my specific case, unfortunately, it does not come with the base game. I just got some of these bags right over here, so we can put everything inside the bag. So there you go, guys. You can either put all those tokens in bags like I did, or you can just flip everything face down and put it in some sort of a pool. After that, each player is going to receive 2 scout cards, which are these cards right over here, and also one Shugenja card. I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly, probably not. And those are going to be the 3 starting cards that each player is going to have. Then we're going to distribute the different secret objective cards. So these are the cards with this back right over here. And we have some text on the other side. We're going to shuffle them, and then we're going to give to each player 2 cards. That player is going to choose one of them to keep with them, and the other one, the other cards that they have decided not to take, we're just going to put back in the box alongside with all the other secret objective cards that were not dealt to begin with. Next, we're going to populate our capitals. So I'm going to take you back over here to the map, and we can see that we have over here different territories that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the first thing that you need to know is that some territories, like you can see right over here, are considered to be capitals. We're going to have 7 of those on the board itself, just like the number of clans that are available for us in this game. And each time that we have a clan that is participating in the game, we're going to take one of the control markers and we're going to place it face down, let's say, or with the symbol of this clan face up on the capital itself. So the Crane obviously put one of their markers right over here, then the Unicorn is going to place it right over here because it's their capital, and the Scorpion is going to place their marker right over here in their capital. Then, according to the table that we can find on the bottom part of page 4 in the setup, we're going to set aside the control tokens according to how many players are going to participate in this game. Since this is going to be a 3-player game, each player is going to take 7 control markers and just going to separate it for now from the other ones. Then we're going to determine who is going to be the first player. So we're going to take all the cards that we have of the clans that are participating in this game, and we're going to separate them from the other cards. So we have over here the unicorn, we have the scorpion, and we have the crane, and the other cards of the other clans we can simply put back in the box. Now we're going to take these 3 cards, we're going to shuffle them face down, we're going to choose one of them randomly, and that is going to be the first player of the first round. Right over here we can see that this is the Scorpion clan, so we're going to give to the Scorpion player this card that is called the first player. This is the back of the card, and we're going to place it right over here. And now this card we can again put back in the box. To these 2 initiative cards that got left behind, we're going to add some of the neutral initiative cards that are coming, of course, with the game. They have the same back as the other ones, of course, for a reason that you will see soon why. So we're going to, again, put them face down, we're going to shuffle them, and then we're going to randomly choose enough cards to add to the other initiative cards that we have chosen from in the beginning until we have 4 cards. So again, those are the cards that we have chosen from the first player before. And now, since we have 2 over here, randomly we're going to add 2 other cards, right, to have 4 cards in total. And the other card that was not chosen, we're going to place it back in the box without looking at it. So now the 4 cards that we have right over here for the deck, this is what is going to determine the first player in the other different rounds that we have in this game. We're simply going to shuffle, and then we're going to place it right next to the board. Let's say that we can put it right over here for now. Now we're going to place the starting control tokens. So of course, starting with the first player, which is the Scorpion, we're going to take one of the 7 control markers that we have, and we're going to place it anywhere that we want on the map itself. So we're going to do it for the first player, then going clockwise, it's going to be the crane that is going to put another one, doesn't matter, right over here. And then we're going to continue with the third player, and they're going to place their token right over here, doesn't matter again. And we're going to continue like this until all the players have placed their 7 tokens that we have set aside during a previous step of the setup. So right now you can see an example for how the board will look like after all the players have placed their 7 control tokens. After that, we're going to take the round tracker and we're going to place it on number 1, of course. And we're going to place the different tokens that we have right next to the board. Here we're going to have some special tokens that correspond to the different territory cards, for example. And here we have the Scorched Earth and the Peace tokens. Again, we're going to put it next to the board. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. In battle for Rokugan, each player is going to play the leader of a clan with unique powers. This is an asymmetrical game, and we're going to have over here 5 rounds where the players are going to compete between themselves over territories during different actions like invading from the ground border or from the sea. Sometimes we're going to send our special assassins that are called Shinobi to attack in a different place, not adjacent to our territories. We're going to try and make one of the territories peaceful or raid another, when really there are different actions that we're going to talk about everything during this how to play video. Each round is going to contain 3 phases. The first one is going to be the upkeep, then we're going to have the placement, and then we're going to resolve the different tokens that we have placed during the placement phase. At some point during the upkeep, but not in the first round, if we're controlling a territory, that means 3 provinces of the same color, we're going to earn that territory card that correspond to that specific territory. That card is going to give us really a powerful effect, but only one time. And that is something really special and unique in this game, because each card that you're going to have, you will be able to use it only one time. So there are not a lot of cards. You'll have to use them in the right moment, knowing that you will not be able to use them in another opportunity. At the end of the 5th round, we're going to calculate how many victory points, or honor as we call it in this game, each player has, and the player that has the most honor is obviously going to be the winner of the game. The first step is going to determine the first player for this round, which is something that we already did with the setup for the first round. So we're going to ignore this step right now, and I'm going to talk about it when we're going to start the second round. The next step that we're going to have is to draw the combat tokens. So I'm going to take you back over here behind our screens, and now each player will have to draw enough tokens to complete what they have behind their screen to 6 tokens. So each player is going to draw from their pool of tokens 5 of these battle tokens to place behind their screen. So over here for the crane, they're just going to do randomly 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now in total, they have for this round 6 of these battle tokens. And now after they have drawn it, they can flip it to the other side and see what are the battle tokens that will be available to them in this round. The other players, of course, are going to do it the same, but with a little bit more style since they have these cool bags. The next step is to play one of your territory cards, but again, this is something that we still don't have in the first round, so we're going to talk about it again a little bit later when we're going to start the second round. That is it for the upkeep. Moving on to the placement phase. During the placement phase, again starting from the first player, each player is going to take one of their battle markers and they're going to place it on the map itself, and each token has its own restrictions. So I think that now it's going to be an amazing opportunity to explain all the different battle markers that we have in this game, and then we'll understand as we place them around the board. The first and most common token is the army token that we can see right over here. Now, different army tokens have different values. That is the strength of this battle token. Now, behind the screen, we can see how many of each token we have in our pool. So this is something that is going to help you calculate what are your chances to draw tokens later on the game. And also in later rounds, other players will be able to look at your discard tokens and understand what are the chances of you having other specific tokens. But again, we're going to see it a little bit later. Army tokens we can place in 2 ways on the board. Since this is some sort of infantry, if we want to invade, if we want to attack another province, we will need first of all, of course, to look for our territories and attack from that territory an adjacent one. For example, let's say that I took one of the scorpion markers, since the scorpion player is the first player. We're going to look for a territory, let's say this one, and we want to invade to this territory right over here. What we need to do is to take this marker and place it in the middle of the border from this territory that we're going to invade to this one. So we will need to place it just like this. Now it's very important that you're going to follow these rules, because later on, if we have tokens that are not placed correctly, we're simply going to remove them. Let's move on to the next player, that is the crane, and see where they would like to put their army token. And pay attention that over here we have already the army strength of 2. The second option that we have is to place this token at the center of our controlled province with this arrow pointing to the flowers right over here at the center. And this means that this token is going to protect in some sort of way this province. Again, we're going to see how it goes later when we'll resolve the tokens themselves. These are the 2 and only options that we have by placing the army battle markers. The next token that we have is a navy token, and this is the one that looks just like this. It's similar to the army token. Of course, we have here the strength, but it's going to be used a little bit differently. So the navy token can only be used at the coastal provinces. So for example, I will not be able to take this marker again with the navy and place it over here, for example, in the middle of a territory that we already control to defend, or even to invade an adjacent territory, again, since we don't have here a coastal province. What we will be able to do is, for example, invade right over here from the ocean, right? This is a coastal province, so there is no problem to do something like this, even if, for example, the province that we're invading to is not adjacent to one of our markers, one of our control markers, like we have seen in the example before. A second option that we have, again, with the navy is to protect, just like we have seen before with the army, but it has to be again a coastal province. So for example, the Scorpion can take one of their navy tokens and place it just like this to defend, because this is a coastal province. Now, this might be a good time to say that you can protect one of your provinces even if you're not attacked, but we're going to see it again when we're going to resolve all the tokens. The next token that we have is the Shinobi token. This token works in a similar way to the army or to the navy, but here the special thing is, and this is why this token is a little bit more rare than the others, that you can place it anywhere that you want on the map, either to attack or to defend, but you don't need to attack an adjacent area. The way that we're going to place this token is going to be in the center, again, pointing to the flowers that we have in that province, of a territory that is not ours if we want to attack, or to our territory if we want to defend, but then it's a little bit less special. So let's take an example, and we can take this Shinobi token and place it right over here. This means that the Crane faction has decided to use this token in an offense kind of way. If they would have placed it like this, then of course it's in the defensive way. The next token that we have is the Diplomacy token. The Diplomacy token can be placed only in our controlled province. The Diplomacy token that is going to be resolved before the battles is going to declare an area as a peaceful province. We're going to add one of these tokens, and then we will not be able to attack this province or send an attack from it. Let's see it a little bit later. For now, the Unicorn faction decided to place this token right over here. This is the only legal way that you can place this token. Again, it has to be in a province that you control, and the arrow has to point to the flower of that province. The fifth token that we're going to see is the Raid token. When you're placing this token, you can put it on any province that you would like, but the effect will be triggered only when you're revealing all the tokens. It's going to be in an adjacent province. The Scorpion player can take this marker and place it right over here, for example. So again, when you want to place it, it has to be in the center of the province pointing to the flowers. But then when we're going to reveal this token, its effect is not going to take place, because right now we can see that the Scorpion faction does not have any area that is adjacent to it. On the other hand, if the Scorpion would decide to place it just like this over here, then when we're going to reveal this token, then the effect will take place because the Scorpion player does have a province that is adjacent to this one. The effect of this is something that is called Scorched Earth. What we're going to do is to take this token right over here, we're going to place it here, and then this territory is kind of going out of the game, again, unless you will have some sort of an effect that will remove this token. But as long as the Scorched Earth token is going to stay in a certain province, nobody is controlling this province. All the other players that have some sort of tokens over here will remove them. Nobody can invade this province, and obviously nobody can attack from it since nobody is controlling this province. The next token that we're going to talk about is the Blessing token. When we want to place the Blessing token, we have to follow two rules. The first one is that we have to place it on top of another token that is already in the game itself. And the second rule is that we have to place it face up. This token is going to enhance the strength of the token that we're going to place it above it when we're going to resolve the battles. So for example, the Crane player has decided to put this Blessing token over here just like that. Why? Because they want to attack this province. The Unicorn faction has placed over here a token. The Crane doesn't know which token it is. They're thinking they're going to defend it, for example, and they just want to make sure that they're going to control this province later, so they're going to add this Blessing token. Let's see later what is going to happen over here. It's quite interesting. The last token that we're going to talk about is the Bluff token. So I think that it kind of speaks for itself. We can take this Bluff token and place it anywhere that we want. It doesn't matter. It can be just like this between land borders, it can be just like this. If we want to trick the opponent and make them want to think that we're going to invade from the ocean, we can place it just like this, again, like we're defending this area, and so on. So now that we have understood how to place the different tokens and what do they mean, let's talk about a few more rules that we have over here. The first rule is that we can never have more than one battle token on a specific border. So for example, if the Scorpion player would like to again attack by land this province right over here, they will not be able to add one more token just like this. What they will be able to do is to attack from a different adjacent province. So they will be able, for example, to place a token like this. On the other side, if we already have a token here and here, the Crane player will not be able to also attack from this region to this one, right? Because again, we can have only one battle token on a specific border. Another rule that we have is that for defending a specific province, you can have as many tokens as you want in that province. Another thing that we have over here on the map are defensive bonuses. So as you can see right now at the beginning of the game, it's quite simple, right? Because in each capital, we can see that we have this kind of iconography right over here. And that means that this area has the defensive value of already 2. Of course, later we'll be able to increase that value. Don't worry, we'll get to that. But right now, even if that clan is not participating in the game, and even if this area is completely empty, still the defensive value of this province is equal to 2. Now, as I've said before, in different territory cards, we're going to have different effects. We're not going to go into all of them, and most of them, guys, are pretty self-explanatory. But I just want to draw your attention over here to these tokens, and this is something that if you have the right card, you will be able to play them. For example, if we're going to have this token right over here, again as a result from a territory card, and we're going to place it in a specific province, then this province is considered to be a coastal province. Another special token that we have, just to give you another example, is this one that is called the Shrine. When you're using the right card and you're going to place it in a specific place, right now this province cannot be attacked, but can launch an attack on an adjacent territory. So after all the players have placed 5 tokens, that means that 1 token is going to be left behind, and it doesn't matter which token is being left behind. We're going to move on to the next phase, and that is the resolution phase. Now what we need to do is to flip at the same time, of course, all of the different combat tokens. The next step in the resolution phase is to discard all the bluff tokens and all the illegally placed tokens. So the bluff tokens is something easy, right? We're going to take all the bluff tokens that we have here, over here, and then we're just going to put it next to the screen but visible to all the other players. So for example, we can place it right over here, and that is going to be the discard pile of that specific player. Right now we don't have illegally placed tokens, but just for the example, let's say the Scorpion player decided to put this token right over here because they got confused, or doesn't matter why. Then this token, again, since the Scorpion cannot defend a landlocked province with a navy token, then this token will be removed again to the discard pile of the Scorpion faction. But again, this token was legally placed right over here, so we're just going to move on. Then the next step is to resolve, first of all, the raid tokens. So the raid tokens, again, I remind you, are these tokens that we have right over here. So again, what we're going to do now is going to take this Scorched Earth token, we're going to place it right over here, and then we're going to remove all the other tokens that we have in this province. So this token, of course, is going to go to the discard pile of the Scorpion faction. And this control marker of the unicorn, we're just going to put it in their supply. After that, we're going to resolve the diplomacy tokens. So the diplomacy tokens are the ones that we have right over here, for example, of the unicorn. And this is something interesting. So you can see that the Crane faction has decided pretty much to invest a lot of their resources, right? We have said that the Shinobi is kind of rare, and also this one, the Blessing token, is quite rare. just to make sure that they control this province. But since we're first of all resolving the diplomacy tokens, then what we will do is just take one of these peace tokens, the green one, place it over here, and then the attack of the crane is going to be cancelled. So what we can do right now is to take this token, of course, and put it in the discard pile of the unicorn faction. And also we're going to take these two tokens of the crane and we're going to place them in the discard pile of the crane faction. The next phase is to resolve the battles themselves. Now, all battles are going to be resolved simultaneously, so it doesn't really matter where we're going to start from. Let's start right over here from this province. So we have here the Shinobi, not that the Scorpion faction needed to use it, right, because it is adjacent. Since there is no defense value over here, that means that the Scorpion player is now going to control this province. In order to indicate that, first of all, we're going to remove the control marker that we have of the Unicorn faction, put it over here in their supply. Then we're going to take a control marker of the Scorpion player and we're going to place it right over here. At the same time, we can already remove this token back to the discard pile of the Scorpion player. Now, something that I forgot is to talk about the special powers that each clan is having, and it does affect our game actually. The Unicorn player, for example, before revealing all the tokens, can take 2 tokens and switch between them. The Scorpion player, during the placement phase, can once per round, after they have placed one of their battle markers, they can take a look at one of the other faction's markers, just flip it, not showing it to the other players, and put it back in the same place. Again, we have here 7 clans. I don't want to talk about the powers of each one of them. It's really simple to understand, but just for you to know that this is something I'm not going to do over here, because I just want to show you the general game of Battle for Rokugan. Over here in this province, we can see that the Scorpion player has decided to defend this province, even though there are no attacks there at all. Since it's still considered like as a successful defense, what they're going to do is to take one of their control markers, but flip it to the other side, and they're going to place it right over here. They can already remove this token and put it in the discard pile. And right now, it means that this province has the defense value of +1. And also, we can see that we have one more honor point, right? Those are the victory points that we have, that this province will receive at the end of the game, of course, if this token is going to stay over here. Let's move on over here to this territory. We can see that we have here the attack value of 5, right? This is 4 + 1 that is attacking this province. But here we have the defense value of 6, so this is higher. Since the defense value here is higher, but in general, even when you're tied, the defensive player is the one that is going to win. Specifically for the crane, they're going to win every time that they're going to be tied, even in the attack. So this is again a specific power of the crane, and we're going to move on with that. We can discard all of these tokens, right? Remembering that it was the defense that has won. And we're going to again take one of these tokens and place it right over here. So again, for the next time someone will attack this province, there is already defense value of +1. And there's another honor point that is going to be added to this province. Over here again, it's the attack that is going to win, so we can remove this token and also this one, and add the control marker of the Unicorn faction. Over here, if you remember, we had here the Bluff token of the crane, and that kind of made the Unicorn faction to spend some other tokens. One of them is the Blessing, and that is a rare token, in order to defend it. So yes, they are going to improve their defensive value over here, but also, unfortunately, they're going to discard these 2 tokens. After we have finished resolving all the battle tokens, we're going to claim territories. So now what we're going to do is basically look who is controlling an entire territory. Again, a territory is a group of all the provinces in the same color. For example, the Scorpion player right now is controlling the Scorpion territory. So what they're going to do right now is to take this territory card from here. So right now the Scorpion player is just going to keep this card hidden from the other players at their possession. Here in the Shadowlands, we have something a little bit different. We have only one Shadowland of each type, right? The North and the South, let's say. I think this is how they called. So right now, since the Scorpion player also controls the Northern Shadowlands, they're going to take this card, this territory card as well, put it in their possession. And here, the Unicorn player is going to take the territory card of the Southern Shadowlands, and they're going to place it in their possession. Specific for the territory cards of the Shadowlands, those cards can be played in a different timing in this game than the other territory cards that we have, but there are some minuses for controlling these territories that we'll talk about it in a few more minutes. After we have claimed the territory cards, we're going to advance the turn marker to the next round, and let's see now all the things that we haven't seen in the first round. So now that we're going to start the new upkeep phase, we're going to determine who's going to be the first player for this round. So if you remember, we have this initiative deck right over here. We're going to draw the first card that we have, and we're going to see what is going to happen. We have two options basically. Either we have drawn right now the neutral initiative card, or we have drawn a specific clan card. Okay, these are the two options. If this would have been the card that we would have drawn, then obviously it's going to be the Crane faction that is going to start, and the first player card is going to be with them. Sometimes again, the other option that we have is if we have drawn a neutral initiative card, then we have a specific condition, let's say, and the clan that is going to fulfill that condition is going to be the first player, again receiving the first player card. Now when it's time to draw the combat tokens in the second step of the upkeep phase, I want to draw your attention over here to the discard pile, and if a faction has a token that is the Bluff token in their discard pile, they're going to take it back behind the screen, just like this, or just like this, it's the same thing. And now when it's time to draw your battle tokens, you will complete the number of battle tokens behind your screen to 6. So you're not going to draw 5 like the Scorpion faction right over here. These two players are going to draw only 4 tokens. So the advantage is if you want to keep one of the tokens because it's rare or because you have some sort of strategy to a later round, this is how you can do it. You're going to use your Bluff token and you're going to keep 1 token behind your screen. The next step is to play the territory cards, but we didn't have it in the first round. We do have it right over here. So again, starting from the first player, if they have a territory card, they can use it. The Crane does not have one. The Unicorn does not wish to use theirs. What we do want to use is this one that the Scorpion faction has. After the Scorpion player has used this card, they're going to remove it from the game completely. They will not be able to use it again. It does not come back over here to this location. 1 card, 1 use, and that's it. 2 more things that I want to add regarding the territory control and the territory cards that we have over here. If we have a territory and one of the provinces has the Scorched Earth markers, that means that in order to control the territory, we need to control only the 2 other provinces, because this province is considered to be, for now, out of the game, sort of. So if the Unicorn player has a marker over here, that means that they control the Unicorn territory. Now, let's say that they have claimed, of course, this card right over here, so they're going to keep it in their possession. If at some point they're going to lose the control over this territory, so let's say that the Crane, for example, is now controlling over here this province, then if they haven't used this card yet, they will need to put it back right over here, and then someone else or they just at a later point will be able to claim this card. At the end of the 5th round, we're just going to calculate how many honor points each faction has, and that depends on a few criteria. Let's start with the first one, and that is the number of honor equal to the total number of flowers in the provinces that they control. So for example, right over here we have 3 flowers, so that means that the unicorn faction has 3 honor. In other situations, let's take this province again. We have 1 flower that is printed in this province, so the scorpion has 1 honor. But also we have these 2 tokens. On each one we have 1 flower as well. So that means that 1, 2, 3 honor from this province will go to the scorpion faction. To that, we're going to add the honor from the secret objective that we have dealt the players at the beginning of the game, right, during setup, if that player, of course, is answering that criteria. And the last thing that we're going to do is to have 5 honor for each territory that one of the clans control. Here in our example, the Scorpion player is controlling the Scorpion territory, right? 1, 2, and 3. So on top of the honor that is printed on the map and on top of the honor that we have on the tokens, just for controlling this entire territory, they're going to gain 5 honor. Here I want to draw your attention to the Shadowlands, because here you're not going to receive honor at all. Not for controlling one Shadowland or both of them. And also, even if you have a face-up control token on the land, you're not going to earn the honor that is printed on the token itself. So you can have here as many tokens as you want. Since this is a Shadowland, you will not receive a honor from those Shadowlands. And that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.